Early in my farming career, we had a series of bad droughts. We had rogenomics. And both of those had a pretty major impact on us in our farming career, having just bought the rest of my family out. So we had a high level of debt, and we had interest rates of 21 to 22%. During that time also, just to kick us in the teeth, the productivity and the health of our livestock, sheep in particular, started to decline. And yet we had a consultant, a typical good New Zealand consultant who and I'd come out of Lincoln, so we'd institute doing soil tests, the standard soil tests, Olsen Ps, pHs, you name it. You've got the figures up there. There was nothing wrong with them. We tried using trace elements like cobalt. We'd always been putting selenium on. That wasn't making any difference. And to be honest, we were getting to the point where we just had no answers. And a fellow farmer who is a dairy farmer and at that time was an organic dairy farmer actually recommended that we contact Nigel van Dorser, which we did. Nigel came down and had a look, and he said, yeah, I can see you've got a problem. Just looking at the sheep, he could see we had a problem. So he organised we get some soil tests done, and I didn't quite know where they were going to go except to the US, but I now know they went to Bob Perry's lab, the Perry lab. And that was our first start into the Ulrich model, but I didn't realise it at the time. Results confirmed what he thought was the main issue. And although our soil pHs had always been in the so-called ideal range, and we had a consultant that every time I said to my gut feel is we need to be putting lime on, and if I can step back a little bit, my father, when he always sowed down a new paddock of pasture, he always put on some lime. That was something that he was taught, I think, when he went through Lincoln. I don't know that anybody really knew the science about it, but the results that he got were clear. I came along, started soil testing, and had a consultant who every time I said, I think we need to put lime on, he looked at the results and said, you won't get an economic response. You're wasting your money. So we didn't. The tests coming back from the Perry lab actually showed that we had an okay pH, but we actually had a major imbalance of calcium and magnesium. That year we bit the bullet and applied lime to as much as the farmers we could, which I think this was in the autumn, just giving time frames at the time, and we got about 50% of the property done before it got too wet. And within a month or so we had farmers from further inland saying to us, what the hell have you done to those paddocks? And I said, we limed them. And basically the sheep enjoyed grazing those paddocks again. And the other paddocks, you really struggled to get pasture management to happen.